This ends today.
Congressman Barnes, wow. You know, I never really thought you'd have a promising political career, but less than half a term. Yikes.
We're taking you in, Val.
I don't think so. Junior varsity, Captain America.
Walker.
Oh, nice to see you, Ava. Yelena, you look awful. You sure you're really ready for that public-facing role you asked me about?
Eat shit, Valentina. Where's Bob?
Look at you. You are all so adorable. Just think, I send you down there to kill each other, and instead, you make nice and you form a team. Who is this old Santa?
I'm Alexei Shostakov. The Red Guardian.
What?
From Marvel Studios.
I am the void. You don't deserve to live in the light.
What did you say?
The past.
Are you okay?
I have a great past, so I'm totally fine.
You do not seem fine.
You thought you were gonna be heroes? You can't even save yourselves.
Let's do this.
That's what they talk about!
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. There's a whole bunch of new Thunderbolts trailer footage, a whole bunch of scenes referencing Dark Avengers, the team they put together, or the new Avengers, however you want to think about it during the actual course of the movie, what's going on with Bob, aka the Sentry in the Void, and what's going on with it connecting to Avengers Doomsday. So we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Just because the movie is coming out next week, we'll actually do a giveaway for tickets. All you have to do to enter is just be a subscriber and post all your predictions and reactions in the comments below. I'm supposed to see the movie sometime early next week, so once they let us, I will post my full review video. What I'll do is my post-credit scene video, my Easter eggs breakdown for the entire movie, won't start posting till later next week after the movie comes out everywhere. Hopefully, it is the return to form that a lot of people who saw the movie already say that it is. But a lot of that is early hype, so you just have to pull back just like a little bit, like just kind of wade through the hype to try and find out what the reality is.
Rebranded.
It does seem like Marvel is just like dead set locked in, focused on this year and next year, pushing to Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, and they want the MCU just in general, like the general state of things with the public, to be as strong as possible so that everybody is seated for Avengers Doomsday. Like, buy those tickets for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. And in order to do that, the year before the movie comes out has to be strong. Like, hype leading up to the movie has to be strong. I don't really consider it a spoiler, but all these characters that appear during this scene here, what we call the Dark Avengers, or like the new Avengers as they come together during the movie, were in Chair Watch for Avengers Doomsday's trailer, meaning that one way or another, they all wind up surviving the events of this movie. Taskmaster notwithstanding, not really sure what happens to her during the events of this movie, but it does definitely seem like she gets killed off by one of the characters at some point during the film, and that's why we don't see her in most of the trailer footage. There are a couple trailers and longer clips that they released, so just starting at the beginning of this whole scene where Bucky and the rest of the Thunderbolts characters, like the main characters, are confronting Val at the top of the Avengers Tower. Technically, she's renamed it the Watchtower, which is the name of the Sentry's base that exists on top of the Avengers Tower in the comics. And this is meant to be before Bob flies in his full Sentry uniform from the comics with his symbol on it. It's meant to be a direct comp to Iron Man facing Loki in the original Avengers movie, the We Have a Hulk scene. The real big subversion on that during this is that Val is the one saying, "We have a Hulk, I have a Hulk," and that Hulk is the Sentry character. Just a real big coincidence that they have a huge history of Sentry and Hulk fighting in the comics. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll actually see that matchup during Avengers Secret Wars at some point. You notice that the bar that she has there is the same bar from the top of the Avengers Tower. Like, it's the same room at the top of the Avengers Tower, but Val has redesigned it and just kept the bar the same. Part of the idea, I think, too, is that she sensed that they were, like, she saw them on the security cameras, and she allowed them to the top of the tower so she could confront them. But the way that Julia Louis-Dreyfus explained Val during the events of this movie is that for most of the film, like right up to like the very final act here when Bob turns into the Void, like goes from Sentry to Void form and loses it on New York City, She's meant to be operating a few steps ahead of the Thunderbolts character at any given moment, which is why they're so surprised by what she's doing in learning things about what happened with Bob and Sentry during the movie.
Less than half a term.
There's a couple real big references that she drops here to like really big plot points that people have been asking questions about for a while now. She starts making fun of him for sounding like he's out of office already and it's only been a half a term, like he's only lasted for half a term. So if you remember, during Captain America Brave New World, Bucky was running for US Congress. There were a lot of questions people had, like, why is he running for Congress? What is the goal of this in the larger MCU? Does Marvel have bigger plans for Bucky to become a politician in the future of the MCU, like after Secret Wars into Marvel Phase 7? Would it not be crazy if he ran for president at some point in the distant future, like President Winter Soldier? The person who assassinated President Kennedy back in the day is now running for US president. Weirder things have actually happened in real life, if you can believe it. So it kind of sounds like putting Bucky in Congress was like part of a bigger, earlier plan that Marvel had for something that just completely went by the wayside. Like, we're going to get rid of that plot line and we're just going to explain away him leaving Congress. Marvel does that with a lot of post-credit scenes too, like post-credit scenes that go nowhere, big plot lines that go nowhere. There's even some old plot lines from Marvel Phase 2 and Marvel Phase 3 that will probably go nowhere now. She calls Walker Junior Varsity Captain America. There's been a lot of jokes about him being Captain America for like 2 seconds. Dime store Captain America, Walmart Captain America. She mentions Ghost calling her Ava, that is her real name, looking a little worse for wear, and then makes fun of Yelena for just looking absolutely terrible, like you look like $10. She also makes it sound like Yelena had been trying to bargain with her for a more public-facing role in the United States. I think the idea is that at the beginning of the events of the movie, she's been trying to turn her life around, like she feels very empty, and she's looking for meaning, and they ultimately find it by forming the team together and saving Bob, Sentry, the rest of New York City from the void. It sounds like the big twist on that at the end of the movie is when the team basically turns into the new version of the Avengers, or like the Dark Avengers, even though that's kind of the vibe from the comics. Then she dresses down Red Guardian, just talking down to him as if she has absolutely no idea who he is, even though she's been very connected in a position of power in the CIA for a long, long time. So she probably does know who Red Guardian is, and she's just trying to make fun of him.
What?
When she calls him the old Santa, obviously, yes, he looks a little bit like an old Santa. The other joke here is that David Harbour, who plays Red Guardian in the MCU, also played a version of Santa Claus in a horror movie, like a big horror action film. Santa Claus himself is an actual Marvel character in the comics. He's featured in a lot of Marvel specials. He's been featured in a bunch of stories. He wielded the Infinity Gauntlet. He's meant to be an Omega-level mutant. He was also the cornerstone of Marvel's first big special holiday edition that they released back in the day. I did a whole bunch of videos about the story of that when they were doing Deadpool videos around Christmas the past couple of years, just because every Christmas rolled around and they kept doing a whole bunch of Deadpool stuff. So anytime you see Deadpool, you think about mutants inside the MCU. Hopefully at some point they'll find some way of doing crazier stories like the Marvel specials or like Santa Claus, or characters you wouldn't normally expect to see in an actual live-action movie that takes itself seriously in the MCU. Maybe at some point they'll do something like that in animation. They still do have lots of plans for X-Men 97 in that animated universe of the 90s where they can do some crazier stuff because technically it is set in a completely separate universe that's not the MCU. There's a separate clip of the Void talking to all the characters, saying that they don't deserve to live in the light, which is probably him actually speaking to the larger New York City crowd, pushing it into his Void space, like pulling it into his Void realm. If you're not a big anime fan, Jujutsu Kaisen has domain expansion. It's an ability where basically people can control a space that is their own domain, where they're basically God inside that place, kind of like WandaVision with Scarlet Witch inside the Hex. Absolute God-level powers inside the Hex. That's kind of the way they're treating the Void, just in a slightly different visualization. When they ask Yelena what she saw inside the Void, she says the past. So the idea is that the Void is manifesting their past as physical entities that they have to face down inside the Void itself, or they'll be killed. Like, imagine all the worst things that happened to you, all the worst memories that you have, made real, then fighting you, trying to kill you. When it comes to them actually stopping the Void, I talked about this in previous videos, but it actually looks like Yelena finds Bob inside the Void, like his personality is buried, sublimated inside the Void, and she basically convinces him to help them stop the Void. So really, it's the Sentry that stops the Void. So it's sort of a war that goes on inside Bob that he fights with himself in order to save the day in the movie. That'll probably wind up satisfying most comic book fans. Like, there's no way that this team could actually physically stop the Void or the Sentry. They're just way too powerful. Only person powerful enough in the movie that could legit stop the Void is the Sentry, or Bob, basically reasserting control over their body.
We can't stop him alone. No one can.
I think the bigger question, though, is what are they going to do with Sentry during Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars? Just because we saw him during Chairwatch, Lewis Pullman is Bob, so Sentry will appear during Avengers Doomsday in some way. There are a couple legit ways to explain how Doctor Doom could possibly stop him or work around Sentry's powers, because in a one-on-one fight, yes, Sentry would be able to stop him. Generally, when it comes to characters like that, usually you would say the workaround is magic, and that is Doctor Doom's big one-up on a lot of really powerful MCU characters, is that he is way more knowledgeable in magic as someone, say, like Doctor Strange. So if he were fighting someone like Thor, who's super powerful, magic would be the workaround, even though technically a lot of what Thor does is tied to magic. He's just not as smart in using magic as other characters like Loki, for instance, who's way more studied. One of those times when Thor, falling asleep in class and not studying more when he was a little kid, is actually going to come back to bite him in the ass. But if there's any other Easter eggs or references in this footage that you spotted that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. Also wonder how they're going to deal with Sam Wilson's new Avengers, if they're planning on turning the Thunderbolts into the new Avengers characters, or if they're just going to have jokes about that during Avengers Doomsday. Generally just expecting the movie to be a solid time, not blow everyone away. Like, I think it'll just be a good movie, and I think that's great. Like, Marvel just needs a lot of good movies. There's a bunch of stuff happening in the next couple of days, so I'll try to do videos for everything as quickly as possible. Everybody click here for my Daredevil Born Again Season 2 teaser trailer video, and click here for my brand new Mandalorian and Grogu movie trailer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.